Well, and that
So
brings me
it's
to
unfortunate.
the bigger discussion that I wanted to have with you guys. I it kind of comes with Blizzard games in general, where data mines happen and the games are generally like known everything that's going to be in them before they ever release, which is what happened here. Uh, but the other aspect was this idea of guides and content creators being in the beta themselves, in the review process themselves. Before the game even came out, there was quote unquote like the barbarian guide that got nerfed, or build that got nerfed. Like that guide came out Tuesday when the review embargo was lifted.
Yeah.
I don't like, how do you guys, I don't know if you have a take on this or if I'm alone, but I think it kind of fucking sucks that like the game was figured out before we could even hit play.
100%, man. 100%. It's I mean that's unfortunately the reality that we live in these days with review copies and stuff like that. It's one of the reasons that the magic of MMOs is gone in a lot of ways
Yeah.
because like every single bit of the areas get trolled instantly and you know where all the best things are and all the secrets and stuff like that. And it's up to the devs to foster that type of magic for as long as they can, but they have no incentive. At
Yeah.
least they don't feel they do. So we run into these situations like now where it's like, I mean, hell, there was a period of time when where it was globally accepted that the people competing in the top 1,000, that it was going to be allowed that these people were going to be doing it. So the people that have already played through the game, like Blizzard had to come out hours and hours and hours later and be like, no, 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 we're going to bar them from it. But it's like, cool, they've already talked to all their friends. They've already talked, like everyone already knows the guides are out now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's the whole thing is now it almost doesn't matter that they've done it because anyone that's super hardcore about it can just look up all the information that those people have now posted publicly. So it's a double-edged sword because and this is where I'm going to give Blizzard or companies that do this in general a little bit of credit here. When you put out reviews, it's important that the review is on the entire product. So you have to give copies out of the entire product. But at the same time, you know, even if you embargo them, they're still going to have those guides ready to go the second that embargo is up. And so it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. You know, so it's really what it comes down to is it would have to be like they would have to approach the entire process from some kind of point of view where they were trying to make that happen. And I don't even know what that would look like.
I don't either. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
We could shut down the internet.
I mean, yeah, maybe. The other aspect too that I heard to like counter my thoughts on it was Mods was talking about who we've had him on, Diablo 3 or Diablo 4 streamer, ARPG streamer, was basically saying that the people that were a part of that review process, people like himself and Crip and even the guy that popularized the barbarian build and all that stuff, they gave Blizzard like pretty critical feedback on the game and how the builds and the skills and all that stuff were shaping up within the process. And so a lot of those things probably got tinkered with as they, you know, did that potentially. And the patch that we saw last night was probably a case of that build being changed because it was so popular and because it was so strong. So there's like the other side of the coin is they made the game better by having that type of access already. So, like,
I mean that all depends on how much Blizzard listened and implemented the feedback.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, like
Crip,
when we have bugs like from this beta that are still in
the
game,
yeah.
Even now, it's just kind of like, and then we see these major patches come out like they did. It's kind of like,
yeah.
I see what you're saying though. I mean, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely. I was talking about that on Tuesday or Wednesday this past week. I was just like, man, it bummed me out that like I woke up this morning and within an hour knew or could look at everything in this game. Literally everything in this game. Like the WoW World of Warcraft website conglomerate of like Wowhead and Thoughtbot and Map Genie and Icy Veins and you know, all of those websites had it all out there. And like I think is if I wasn't a streamer, then the answer is like, oh yeah, don't look at that. But as a streamer, the answer is like, don't look at that. Your chat will tell you literally everything that you need to know, or that you're doing wrong, or that you should be doing, or blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm not going to sit there and combat chat while I'm playing the game for X amount of hours. I'm just gonna be like, cool, just tell me. Right? Like,
dude,
just say,
that shit
let
was
me know.
bad enough with Darkest Dungeon 2. I can't imagine it be like what it's like for Diablo.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that.
Like I had fuckers coming in, never been to my channel, don't even know who I am. They're like, oh, this guy's playing Darkest Dungeon 2. I'm gonna go tell him how to play it right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm looking at I have a map right now of everything in the game and where it's located in the entirety of the game. There's probably, I don't know, 600 or 700 things here on the map to click and do. And I've just had that up while I was playing and walking around, so I could go and like not have to backpedal or backtrack when I like am in a random part of the map that has an altar of Lilith or something like that.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's way further than I took it.
Yeah, and so I've like collected most of those already. But you know, the answer is like close the map. My answer is fuck you. I'm gonna look at the map if it exists. Right? That's how I am. But I can also be upset about that a little bit, right? Like it is what it is. And I think that's only, you know, I think WoW kind of like changed a lot of that, and the WoW and the internet changed how that all like came to be.
I feel like they have to gamify the opposite. Like what was, I never played the game myself, but I heard of like a system in Asheron's Call where you had to discover your own spells, and the more people that knew the spells, the less powerful they would become. So it was like in players' interests if they found something to keep it like a secret and only tell their close friends.
I remember
and stuff like that. Is that how that works or something like that?
Yeah.
It was such an interesting, cool system.
I remember something like that.
Yeah, like that is, so it was totally in everyone's interest not to publicize it. Now, granted, these days we have too many trolls. So it's like, you know, these days, you know, the right troll figures that stuff out and it's out there, but it still was a very cool idea. I like that idea. I also like the idea of there's like a game to give him a little shout out. There's a game coming out called Pantheon. And one of the things they're doing in a way to kind of combat that is they're planning on like slowly trickling in a lot of their secrets and stuff. So it's like, it's not going to be there at all times. And they're going to like change and move things frequently. So it's not like you can just go and Google everything at once. One of the ways they're trying to bring back some of that classic feel. I think more games taking an approach like that would be cool, where it's like, you know, things are moving around and changing and being added like so often that it kind of keeps players on their toes. You get that feeling where it's like, oh, there may be a map that shows where everything is, but if that, you know, there was a patch last night, so half this map could be wrong or something like that, you know, like that just knowing that would completely change the feel of a game, knowing that no map could have the proper information.
I mean, Final Fantasy 14 does a pretty good job of like not having that shit be out there as much. Someone in my chat, one of my mods says it's really only Blizzard. Everyone else seems to be moving away from that level of game access. And in a lot of ways, the like industry that Blizzard created around things like MMO Champion back in the day, where it was like the second that something came out, it was immediately data mined and dumped onto the internet. And that was that like, honestly, industry of Blizzard games was like, who can get the data mine up fast enough so that we can all get in there and like decipher it, so that we can all go and farm X thing faster before someone else, right? Like it's been built around that for so long that there's not really a culture like that exists outside of Blizzard, I feel, when it comes to the break of that.
In Asheron's Call, when it first came out, the spells became less powerful the more people that casted them, and the higher level ones had certain components randomized for every character.
That's cool.
So
that couldn't exist today, but that's cool.
That's kind of like, that kind of reminds me of the Jedi system or Star Wars Galaxy when it came out. Like the original Jedi system, like every character had randomized masteries they had to get. You couldn't just go look up what your character is because you didn't know what it was. So like that, that kind of stuff I feel gives some of the best gaming moments.
Yeah.
Really.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, which I thought it was going to be, well, go ahead, Zeke, because I've been dominating.
Yeah, just on that topic, tell me what you guys think about this. It's what about something that is like a meta punishment, meaning like outside of the game punishment. So like if it's a commonly asked thing about the game that you're playing, can the company make the most, like the top Google answer? You click on the link to go to the site to see the answer, and it goes, "You've been nerfed." Like, and it just like takes your shit.
It like flags your character.
I mean, to be honest,
You've been
that's-
given -5 of your base stat.
they fucking kind of did that
Enjoy.
last night. To be honest, that WoW character skyrocketed in popularity, or not WoW character, the barbarian video skyrocketed in popularity, and it was like, I'm gonna roll barb. Then they fucking nerfed it like 72 hours later. So it kind of happened.
Yeah.
Somebody says very aptly, while funny, I don't want to give a game company that kind of access that would allow them to do something like that.
Yeah.
That's true. God
Yeah.
forbid a system like that didn't work as intended too. It would be a
Oh God, yeah.
oh God.
It'd be a nightmare. Be a nightmare.